Hello, and welcome to the Hormone Genius podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a movement in women's health, a movement that will inspire you to be able to kind of empower other people around you to be as passionate as we are about your hormone genius. And so we have two guests today. One of them we've had on the podcast before. They're both representatives of Natural Womanhood, an incredible organization that is involved in women's health. So we have Jackie Aguilar and Isabel Adams, and we're excited to talk about cycle mindfulness and how you might be interested in starting a cycle mindfulness club on your college campus. So for all of those of you in college, or maybe you're in high school, or maybe you know a college person, this episode is for you because Jamie and I believe that it is through empowering women across the country that this message that your body is good, that you can live in your natural body, is something that every woman feels passionate about at her deep core. So I'm going to direct my first question to Isabel, who is a recent graduate, we might say, and who actually led cycle mindfulness clubs in college. So Isabel, tell us why you think this particular type of program could change the way women feel about their bodies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the cycle mindfulness clubs really just provide a unique window to gain insight into women's health. And by teaching girls how to chart and accompanying them on that journey of learning more about the natural design of their bodies, it really just gives them an opportunity to gain so much freedom. To navigate their life with more understanding and more appreciation. And I think we live in a culture that really does not foster that sort of appreciation. And so, anything we can do to just give them the space to ask questions and think for themselves, and explore possible solutions to any issues they might be facing, it is so good and so huge. And at least for myself, it's been such a gift to be able to learn about my own body and accompany my peers as they do the same.
I think it's appropriate to think about, what Isabel said in terms of women thinking for themselves. I oftentimes hear in, seeing patients down the road, let's say 30s, 40s, whatever, that they didn't think about this stuff. And therefore, they took it for granted and they made decisions without really thinking deeply about how certain behaviors, certain medicines would affect their body. And it is often just in general thought that college is a time when you are supposed to learn to think for yourself, right? Like you're finally free of your parents and you don't have to necessarily believe what they believe and all this kind of idea that you're going to think for yourself, which can be good. It can be a little dangerous at times too, right? So it's perfect that on a college campus, you might bring girls together to actually think about how their bodies work. And women are profoundly just amazed by the lack of information that they've been given when they were young. And so, Isabel, from your experience, like, what have you seen in terms of like that kind of like awe, wonder, and like, oh my gosh, I never knew this information, especially in relationship to my menstrual cycle, to cycle tracking, to birth control, like all of those things. Like, how cool is it to see these women just have their brains blown?
Oh, it's so incredible. And, I kind of started on the journey of understanding my cycle a couple years before I started leading the club. My mom is a natural family planning instructor, and so she taught my sister and I, how to chart. And as I started to, put the pieces together and fill in the gaps of wow, what did I not understand? And why did I feel crazy in those certain times when maybe I went from my proliferative phase to my luteal phase and had those hormone changes, and even just have that awareness can allow you to prepare yourself to deal more gracefully with your experiences. And each and every girl in the club that I led was so unique, and some came with lots of experience and understanding. Others didn't know what ovulation was. Some had been on birth control, some hadn't. And I really think just the beautiful thing that stands out to me so much is the sisterhood that And that's what we need in this culture that tells us our bodies are a burden, and fertility should be able to be like so controlled, and it suppresses your freedom. That like having this space where you can ask questions and have people to accompany you through those things is huge. And that's something that I was really craving, like just desiring so much before I found out about natural womanhood was um, like I want someone to be there to like answer questions for my daughters when they're going through puberty, or like as I'm preparing for marriage, or to have my first baby, or going through perimenopause. But there wasn't really a place that you could openly ask those questions. And I think that's like the most awesome thing about the clubs is as women make realizations, whether it's basic, like, oh, that's what ovulation is. That's why I have so much energy, or whatever it is that they're realizing or gaining new freedom to pursue solutions for health issues. It really is just such a gift to see them like those light bulbs coming on, I guess you could say.
Mm. Speaking of light bulbs coming on, as we were talking about on college campuses, Teresa, as you were saying, when gals and guys go to college, it's like their sense of freedom, right? But also I feel like there is this sense of, pride in knowing I'm getting an education. And I'm going to walk out of these 4 years of college or however long it takes you an educated, man or woman, you know. But really what's happening is that most men and women are not walking out of their university being educated in this area. But thanks to cycle mindfulness clubs, women will have that opportunity to truly be educated because I think that's what's so interesting about this whole concept is, we're truly informed when we're being given quote unquote the freedom from our fertility. That's an informed, educated woman, but truly, no, it's not. Our job is to rewrite that narrative. Our job is to really empower women to truly be educated, therefore empowered on how her full body, true body works. And when they do, the lights, the light, like you were saying, the light will turn on, in terms of their experience befriending their body. And not only befriending their body, Isabel, like you said, but also um, befriending others. Because again, a movement can only begin when there is a group of people, of empowered women in this case. So, with that question, Isabel, this will be for you too, but can you walk us through what does a cycle mindfulness get together work like, or how does that work? Is it every week? Like, what's the cadence? What's the outline? What do people come in learning or walking away knowing?
Absolutely. So, I guess if you want the technical definition, the Psycho Mindfulness Clubs are a peer-led university group designed to provide supportive community as women learn how to chart. And so we meet on a weekly basis, more or less. And throughout the course of an academic year, we cover 8 topics, the very first of which is how to chart your cycle. And so you start by laying that foundation and then encouraging the girls in the club to chart on a daily basis. And the start of every meeting is the question, what's going well, with a focus on charting. And so that just gives them a place to like share, the highs and lows, what's going well, what they're struggling with, what they have questions about. And then from there, we kind of continue to build with other topics like common cycle problems, modern medical treatments for those problems, ovulation, anatomy. We have a desire on sexual desire and self-control. Really just, kind of building on that foundation of charting, and then paving the way for them to ask questions. And as they see things that are more applicable to them and their experience, they then are equipped with the tools and like the evidence with their charts to go pursue answers. I had a girl in my club who just had always had severe PMS and really painful periods. Grew up missing school for a week at a time, and but talking about women's health was such a taboo thing in her home that she never was free to ask questions. And once she started charting and being able to identify, oh, wow, I'm seeing these signs and this is concerning, and maybe this explains why this is happening. She now is like equipped to go to a NAPRO physician or a fem doctor, and actually pursue answers. And yeah, so that was a little bit of a tangent, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's more or less what the clubs look like. And we have two types of meetings. We have educational meetings, which is like presenting on those topics that I mentioned, and then we have inspirational meetings, which is where we read an article related to the topic, and then give women time to like reflect and share their experiences as it's related to that topic.
You know, when Jamie and I were at Seek with 18,000 college students, we had several girls that came up to us who had been in a cycle mindfulness club. And man, you could not find more on fire girls than these four girls were. And it was great. They had created like little like period lingo and phrases that they could speak to each other with. And again, I always say this one because it's the one I remember, but one of them was down in the loot, like to say that you were in your luteal phase, or like, hey, where are you in your cycle? I'm down in the lute today. And we just like got such a kick out of that. So we saw firsthand where this kind of a group of women brought together could be so valuable. But Isabel, I want to, you know, your example of talking about your friend that had terrible periods, like what we know, Jamie and I know, is that this isn't just about like learning how to track your cycle. This is about the fact that many women struggle with hormonal issues and they really don't know what to do about that. And the only option that they're given often is to suppress their body with birth control pills. And many women feel, they're not sure that's the right thing to do. They're uncomfortable with that, but that's their doctors are being told, they're telling them that's the only way. But if they were given education to speak fluently about their body, they can advocate for themselves. And that's the point, is that if you don't understand anything about your hormones, anything about your body, how do you speak to a doctor about your problems? Like you have to have a foundation of knowledge to be able to advocate for yourself and to be empowered to say, no, you know what? I would like something different than maybe birth control pills. Let's figure out what the underlying problem is and find a solution to that problem. And I think, you know, what we're seeing is that women, once they realize that they have this information, it's like, bam, they're like, oh man, I don't want that. Yeah, like you are so right. Like, shouldn't a doctor figure out what's wrong with me? And they're trying to find the solutions themselves. And there's so much information that's good, some bad on the internet. But, you know, this is where this really empowers women. So in terms of just training to be a leader in this club, and maybe Jackie give us that, I kind of, you know, because like obviously you want an empowered leader to first kind of get these women together. What does it look like to be trained to be a leader of a cycle mindfulness club?
Yeah, so we have an awesome uh, leaders training program that we do. It's 3 days in Houston, Texas, and so we will, pay the expenses for those that are going to be leaders, and we'll talk about how to apply to be a leader because that's also happening right now. Uh, we will pay for them to come down to Houston, and we have, medical professionals that give presentations. We talk about, kind of the women's dignity, women's genius. We talk about how to uh, lead these meetings. I mean, there's a particular type of like active listening and leadership of discussion that you kind of these techniques that you need to have. And so it's really training them up to be, good, like solid leaders that have specific listening and discussion leading skills so that they can go back and then we review all the curriculum so they understand what they're presenting. They don't have to be experts by any means. They just kind of have to have that passion of sharing this information. And we also support them throughout the year, so they have continued monthly meetings with us, and they do one-on-one calls with Isabel. So we definitely don't leave them without any kind of support, but we build a community of leaders, and send them back out to their colleges, but they're still connected to that community as they go through the year, sharing with their peers.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important. And, I'm thinking too, as you're explaining what you're looking for in leaders, is how transferable these skills will become for their future. I mean, you're looking again for these women to be good leaders and good listeners, but they'll become even better leaders and even better listeners in this experience. And again, I can just imagine those skills, the leadership and communication skills that they're learning in this process. Of course, beyond the amazing hormone awareness and fertility awareness information they learn, I'm priceless for sure, for sure. I do want to interrupt our show here just for a moment to give a shout out to We Heart Nutrition. Speaking of leaders, they're definitely leaders in the pro woman, pro family, pro health supplement realm. We get a lot of questions about what kind of supplements we recommend, and it's very important that when we take supplements that we absorb them. Otherwise, why take our vitamins? So, what We Heart Nutrition is very much known for is their high quality ingredients. Both Teresa and I use We Heart Nutrition supplements. I love the magnesium glycinate. I love the omegas. I love the multivitamin. I was taking just the general one, and now I'm taking the one for 40, age 40 plus. So love that. If any of you guys are interested in learning more, please visit weheartnutrition.com/hormone genius, but you can use genius as the code. So you can just go to weheartnutrition.com and use genius as the code to get 20% off your first order. So again, special thanks to We Heart Nutrition. All right. So with that, little shout out to We Heart Nutrition and talking about leadership and talking about transferable skills, let's talk about what comes next. So for people who are listening who might want to learn more, and I'm getting the sense there's an interview process, an application process. What would be someone's next step if they want to pursue this avenue?
So a great thing that they can do is they can go to the Natural Womanhood website, naturalwomanhood.org, and under Get Involved, you can click on Cycle Mindfulness. It's right there, or even Google Cycle Mindfulness. It's like we're the first thing that comes up, and read about the clubs. Then there's a link to the application, and the application is not super extensive. You have a couple of short little essay answers, and then a reference letter, and send that to us. Our deadline's coming up kind of soon, March 21st, but college women are, I'm sure, like masters at procrastination, so this should be a breeze for them to get something in a short amount of time. And and then we will send them an invitation for an interview with us. And of course, we're a nonprofit, so we want to keep growing these clubs as much as possible. We just, the only limitation we have is, of course, our budget and things. But yeah, we're hoping to, this year we had, the first year we only had 3 clubs. The second year we had 10. This is our third year, and we have 17 clubs across the country. And so this going into our fourth year, we're hoping to have 20 plus is our goal. So we're just excited, and we want all the college women out there to know, if this is something that interests you, if you're interested in women's health, and you want a structured way to share this with your peers, like please come check out the Cycle Mindfulness page on Natural Womanhood's website and apply.
Right. And it sounds like, again, you're really making this easy for them. You are paying for them to come actually do this training. So you're trying to make it easy. College kids don't always have a lot of resources. And so March 21st was the deadline. So please consider getting signed up. Or if you miss this deadline, maybe next year, maybe it's going to simmer for a while in your heart. And maybe next year you'll be the leader of a cycle mindfulness club. But I think we'll kind of wrap up here. Isabel, is there anything else that you want to tell these young women out there that would make them kind of, maybe they're thinking about it, but they're like, it seems like a lot of work. I don't know. Not really a good speaker. Or I'm not really good at leadership. Like, what is the thing that you can like tell them that says, no, this is really for you. Like, you're being called.
I think my answer to that question is just that, like, don't doubt yourself. Like, the Lord will provide graces in any of those areas. If you say yes to sharing this truth and this goodness with your peers, like, you are going to be equipped with the skills at training. You do not have to come in knowing a lot. We really practice and work with you and send you home with all of the things that you need. And then we're always here as a resource. Phone calls, like Jackie mentioned, we do the one-on-one calls and monthly meetings to continue educating them and helping them grow. And yeah, I would just encourage you, if there's even a slight interest, apply, because you can always change your mind. But once we're past that deadline, yeah, I would just hate for anyone to be interested and then not take advantage of the opportunity. When I first heard about it, I thought, this sounds way too good to be true. Like, is
Yeah.
this a scam? And then I got to training and was like, no, this is just true. Like, they're so passionate about this information that they just want to share it with everyone. And so, yeah, I just encourage everyone to apply.
I love that, Isabel. And then in terms of like faith, religious worldview, does that do you guys interview for that, or is it all and come women who are interested? Kind of just share real briefly on that because I would like to make that clear to our listeners.
Sure.
If that's not a requirement, that wouldn't turn them away. So yeah, give us a little bit of information there, Jackie.
Yeah, we definitely consider kind of the philosophical or theological underpinnings of like women's dignity. So that there is some Catholic theology that is presented in the training because and ideally a leader maybe has some insight already into the dignity of the woman and how she's created with a specific purpose and for certain goodness and so yes so if you have some of that foundation of understanding women's dignity from that theological perspective, that is helpful because that is part of the training as well.
Awesome. Well, good. That's great to hear. All right, so we're gonna start wrapping this episode up here. I'm gonna ask you, Isabel, what do you wish every college woman knew about her hormone genius?
Yeah, I think what I wish every woman knew is just that you were created good and the natural functioning of your body is so conducive to your thriving. The key is just understanding it and taking steps toward that understanding. Very much can include cycle charting, and that's what we're trying to teach women how to do and equip them with the skills and the tools to not only navigate their health, but use what they learn to make informed decisions and navigate their relationships and just be more free in the way that they navigate the world and life for the rest of their life. That it's not just something in college, but really these skills and this understanding is going to set you up so well for life. Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you to Natural Womanhood for putting this program together and for really inspiring a movement. Jamie and I are so pleased to shout this out. And so check out naturalwomanhood.org, Google Cycle Mindfulness Club, leadership training, cycle mindfulness. All of those things will get you to the place that you need to be in order to sign up for this incredible opportunity. So thank you, and we will talk to you guys real soon.